talking about basketball, though. Talking about fits. And he's one of the main targets that the Knicks had for the trade deadline. You know who I'm talking about? Dejounte Murray. And according to reports, the Hawks could make Dejounte Murray available for a trade. My jaw was dropping when I read this report. Now, why, Troy? Why did that happen? Well, let's go back in time here. Let's rewind the clock. If you guys were watching my channel back in January, back in February, there was a theme. Dejounte Murray. If you want to ask me, in terms of all the players that could potentially be available, that I personally would want the Knicks to go after, obvious candidates would be Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell, and Mikal Bridges. Those are the clear candidates for me. Those are the guys I want the Knicks to go after. But if I extended my list another player, if I went one more player, it would be Dejounte Murray. That would be the next player I would want the Knicks to go after. According to Bill Simmons, on a recent episode of his podcast, Simmons noted that there's buzz around the NBA that the Hawks could end up trading both Murray and Young this summer and blow up their roster. Now, some people seem to think both of those guys are getting traded. And if this is the thing that he's heard from different people, so it's not like he heard it from one person or two people. It sounds like multiple people have told him this. And according to them, from different people that I don't know each other, excuse me, wait, I got to repeat that again. From different people that don't know each other, there you go, who know things, they said the Hawks are, just like you know, what we've got the #1 pick. This didn't work. We got to the conference finals that one time. Let's just try to blow it up. That's what Bill Simmons had to say about the Atlanta Hawks potentially blowing it up this offseason. Now, that's one thing. But you know me. If I read a report, I like to get a number of NBA insiders talking about it. I like to have multiple sources. And thankfully, we do have multiple sources here. We got Bill Simmons who mentions it, but we also have Fred Katz who mentions this as well, too. The Hawks fielded offers for Murray leading up to this past winter's trade deadline, but they couldn't find one worth executing. During that time, though, they spoke with the Knicks, and the two sides never got close to an agreement. Part of Murray's appeal to New York, though, was flippability. The Knicks could trade for Murray at the deadline and then include him in another deal for a star this summer or next season. Now, the potential for doing that is still available because we don't know yet which star potentially the Knicks are going to go after. Here are some reasons why Dejounte Murray fits this Knicks team perfectly. Number one, fit. Dejounte Murray in the backcourt with Jalen Brunson. This season, I don't know if you guys are watching Hawks basketball. I was. Before the All-Star break, Dejounte Murray was terrible. You see how I had admitted that? You see how I was honest? This is why you can listen to me when I say this next half. After All-Star break, Dejounte Murray went off, found his game, and you know what he proved to me? He can make other players better. He can make them elevate their game. Now, some of you guys are going to point to his defensive numbers with the Hawks. Here's what I'm going to say about that. Where does he play? He plays for the Hawks. Who plays defense on the Hawks? Even Clint Capella doesn't play defense. Uses his big body for offensive rebounds and nothing else. So what do you want him to do? You want him to eject his defensive intensity into that entire organization. Defense is not done by just one player. Do you think the Knicks, if just one person played defense, they would be that defensive team that they were? It doesn't work like that. Defense is a team game. You have to communicate. You have to talk. Dejounte, when he was with San Antonio, he was a top-level defender for a reason. He was in the right system. He was the right player for that system. The Knicks actually right now have the right fit for Dejounte, because if Brunson wants to go to the bench and you want to stabilize that unit and not have to worry about Brunson rushing back, you have another all-star to control everything in Dejounte Murray. He gives you that. Not only that, he can shoot the three. He has his own shot. He can create his own shot. He has a mid-range game. He can go into the paint and create as well, too. Do I need to continue? Dejounte and this Knicks team fits. And if you don't think his defense is good, do you think under Tom Thibodeau, his defense wouldn't get back to where it was? His defense wouldn't get better? Dejounte under Tom Thibodeau is a match made in heaven. It's not exactly the same as Drew Holiday and Thibs, but it's a close second. And I'll take that because that's what you need. That's how you improve the roster, guys. I understand the love affair with Donte DiVincenzo, but we can also admit during the couple of games in the playoffs, he wasn't hot. He wasn't hitting threes. He wasn't having an impact. We can admit that, right? And it's not taking anything away from Donte and what he gave the Knicks. He still had a breakout year. He was still great. I'm not trying to take anything away from what he's done, but we have to admit, certain games in the playoffs, he wasn't there. And if he came off the bench during the playoffs, maybe he would have been there. Maybe he would have gave us more offense. And if we had Dejounte, maybe things are a little bit different. All I'm trying to say is nothing this season proved to me that Donte DiVincenzo should be the starting two for this Knicks team. If we get a better two, he should obviously go to the bench and Dejounte Murray should start. Dejounte versus Donte. Easily, it's going to be Dejounte Murray winning because that, in my opinion, is the right move for the Knicks. You add that piece to your backcourt. You have an all-star backcourt. You have one that can play defense at an elite level. One that can play and score with the best of them at an elite level. What does that give you in the Eastern Conference? You're telling me that's not one of the best backcourt duos in the entire Eastern Conference? In the entire NBA? You have defense and offense. And Dejounte Murray can give you offense as well, too. I don't understand anybody that would hate this move from the Knicks. I would definitely put in some chips on the table to get Dejounte Murray on this roster. For every reason I just said, the fit is there. And of course, if the cost makes sense, you know Leon Rose is going to jump at the opportunity. And I want to mention as well, too, that Fred Katz mentioned that the Knicks were one of the teams that wanted to go after Murray before the February trade deadline. That's your interest right there. So don't tell me if Murray wasn't available this offseason, the Knicks wouldn't pick up that phone and try to get him on this roster. Of course they would do that. They want to do that. They want Murray on this team. The reason they tried to get him last year was not only because of his flippability, because of course that makes sense. There's a fit there as well. That's why they want him too. He's a former All-Star. We have to remember, he gives us so many positives. A lot of people are talking about Dejounte like he's a role player, like he's on Donte DiVincenzo's level. That's not the case at all. He's better than DiVincenzo. He's a former All-Star. And if he came to this team, he would help us so much. He solves so many problems. I just don't understand why so many Knicks fans are against this move. It doesn't make sense to me. But let's keep it going here. Talking about offers potentially. Where's that? Talking about offers potentially. According to Fred Katz here, it's not like the Hawks would just give away Murray. So we have to remember that. Even if the Hawks wanted to trade Dejounte Murray this offseason, they're not looking to give him away for free. They're going to want something back significantly. And that's the only hiccup here because we're talking about Leon Rose. And when we talk about Leon Rose, one thing is absolute. He is not going to overpay for anybody. He is going to pay a fair price. And if he can't pay a fair price, then he's going to try to get a steal. If none of those things are on the table, he's walking away. That's always what he does. And according to Fred Katz here, the Hawks, who traded multiple unprotected first-round picks for Murray a couple of years ago, they would want a real trade package back. So again, what is a real trade package going to consist of for Dejounte Murray? For me, I don't know what that's going to be. Last time, I remember, I think it was around the February trade deadline, our trade package at the time, if it worked out to be this way, was supposed to be Emmanuel Quickley and 2 first-round picks. No idea if they were protected, unprotected, one unprotected, or one protected, however it worked out to be. I don't care about that. I just cared about getting Dejounte for a fair price. If that was on the table still, I would do it. But then that begs the question, if we did that same trade again, who would be the young player that I would switch out for Emmanuel Quickley? You guys know who I'm going to talk about. You guys are going to write it in the comments right now. Deuce. I love Deuce. Love him. But if I get Dejounte Murray on this team for 2 first-round picks and Dejounte Murray comes on this team and I got to replace Deuce with Donte, I'm doing that every day. I'm doing it every day of the week because, again, moving forward, that's going to help this Knicks team. It's going to make us a better team. Now, I'm not going to voluntarily give up Deuce. I don't want to give away Deuce. I want to keep Deuce at all costs. Look at what he just did this season. In my opinion, after he got the contract and more playing time, he started to show out. He was hitting threes. We started to see that defense. He is amazing. Very good player. But if I can get an all-star back for him, like Dejounte, I don't know how anybody could question it. Why would anybody question it? We have to make sure we're talking about the same things here. Dejounte Murray, Deuce McBride. Hold on. Dejounte Murray, Deuce McBride. Come on. If that's the trade on the table, you have to take it. And I think the Knicks would absolutely do it if that's the case, because they still have the same flippability that they could have before. Get this. If they don't get that star they want this offseason, and they're still waiting to the trade deadline of next season to do it, and they get Dejounte this offseason, couldn't they do the same thing again? Couldn't they have Dejounte for the same reason to do the same thing again? Because exactly that, if it doesn't work out, like it, let's say, I'm not saying it wouldn't, but let's say it doesn't work out between Jalen Brunson and Dejounte Murray. If that happens, then that means potentially you could flip him and you could get maybe some assets back, some significant players back. You could get something back that helps your team moving forward. It's not going to be a complete rebuild if you lose Dejounte. That's what I'm talking about. You're adding players with value. And because of that, this Knicks team is going to get better. If you enjoyed these clips from the live show, be sure to subscribe to the channel and have notifications turned on so you don't miss any new episodes or when we go live. Thanks for watching, Knicks fans, and until next time, peace.